So before I get into this review, I just gotta make something clear. I know nothing about Final Fantasy. I know things about other stuff. But this game, Final Fantasy 15, is the first Final Fantasy game I've ever played. When it comes to the other games, I only know the shit I've read on the internet, like how Final Fantasy 7 is apparently great, Final Fantasy 13 is apparently not great, and that is apparently in Final Fantasy 10. God knows why. But that's okay, because apparently with Final Fantasy 15, Square Enix attempted to make a game that was not only satisfying for the fans, but also accessible to new players, which, as we all know, is impossible, but you know, kudos for trying. Well anyway, let's take a look at the story. Now, at first glance, Final Fantasy 15 looks like a game about 4 male models going on a road trip and fighting giant monsters, but on closer inspection, no, actually, that's pretty much what the game is like. Except one of the male models is a guy called Noctis, who is a prince of the kingdom of Lucis, a kingdom that is at war with the empire of Niflheim. Noctis is arranged to marry a princess who's a captive of Niflheim, so there can finally be peace between the nations. So Noctis sets off with his friends to meet up with the princess, whilst along the way fighting monsters, exploring the wilderness, and making a shit ton of those weird anime gasping noises. Could you fucking stop that, please? I'd say the story is pretty good. It's certainly got a lot going on in it, such as ancient gods, ancient weapons, spirits, demons, mystery, characters showing up and acting all mysterious. Ooh. But I'd say the more interesting part of the story is the friendship between the 4 main characters. Like I said, you got Noctis the prince, Ignis the smart one, Gladiolus the tough one, and Prompto the unrelentingly annoying one. Yeah, I don't like him. But even from the start of the game, these characters are very good friends, and I like that they very often talk to each other, not just in cutscenes, but when you're driving, when you're exploring, even when you're fighting. It drives the point home that these characters aren't just 4 dudes who are journeying together because the game needed 4 characters or whatever. They're actually a group of friends going on an adventure together, having a good time, because why wouldn't they? Adventuring is fun. Teamwork is a very important thing in Final Fantasy 15, and I love the way that they integrate that into the fighting system. Oh yeah, the fighting system. So, in most of the previous Final Fantasy games, they had a turn-based combat system. In fact, I think Final Fantasy may have invented turn-based combat systems. Don't quote me on that. But in this game, they go for a sort of hack and slash type thing, and it's pretty fun. It's not the most in-depth fighting system in the world, but still fun. And I love how useful your friends are. They don't just automatically attack the monsters. Well, actually they do, but they also coordinate with you to unleash special link strikes, and they each have their own special moves that they can use on your command. So using your friends to their full effectiveness in fights is pretty important, and I like that. It feels like in this game teamwork means more than just making sure your group members have the best equipment. So the combat is fun, fighting big old monsters and robots is fun, but what about the rest of the gameplay? Well, like I said, Noctis and the gang are actually going on a sort of road trip, so a lot of the gameplay is just driving around. However, unlike GTA, you can't just get in any car you like, hit the gas and don't stop until you reach Mexico. You actually have limited gas and you do not want to drive at nighttime. So you have to pick where you want to go, pick a route, make sure you have somewhere to stop and sleep along the way. I mean, you do have the ability to fast travel, but generally you have to drive to a place yourself before you can fast travel there. I actually enjoyed the driving parts. It made me feel like it was an actual road trip. Plus it gave me time to listen to the dialogue between characters and take in the stunningly beautiful scenery. Yeah, in case you haven't figured it out yet, this game is absolutely gorgeous. The environments are really beautiful and generally everything just looks so polished. However, it's not all rainbows and sunshine in the land of Final Fantasy 15. The game does have some problems, like the camera. I really don't know how to explain this properly, but sometimes sometimes the camera can be kind of unreliable in the fights. Sometimes it will zoom out too far so you can't really see where you are or what you're doing, and sometimes it will zoom in too far so you can't really see where you are or what you're doing. It's not a huge problem, but it did make some of the fights kind of hard to keep track of. And the exploration aspect of the game is awesome, riding around on chocobos, finding new collectibles and new places to camp, but later on in the game it becomes somewhat more linear. To be honest, I didn't have too much of a problem with that, but I can see why it would be annoying. But seriously, those minor flaws are really just annoyances on top of an otherwise very solid game. On a technical level, Final Fantasy XV is very impressive. The world is absolutely huge, and there is so much shit to do. It is a really long game too. In fact, even though I've played through most of it, I haven't actually finished Final Fantasy XV, and you may think I'm unprofessional and I shouldn't be reviewing a game if I haven't finished it, but how about get off my arse, this game is like 1,000,000 hours long and you're not my dad! Unless you are my dad, in which case, hey Dad. I did enjoy the story, even though there were times where I wasn't quite sure what was going on, but it was still entertaining. But regardless of any nitpicks I could make, Final Fantasy XV is a good game. I wouldn't know how the fans feel about it, but speaking as a newcomer, I had a lot of fun with it. So yeah. Final Fantasy XV gets a jacket that looks like it has a skirt attached to it from behind. Seriously, I thought he was wearing a skirt the first time I saw this.